Okay, now that we've just put baby powder in the tire and we fill the tube up a little bit to make it round and easier to work with, we're going to pinch the tire over like we did when we were taking the nozzle out. We're going to slide the nozzle in, and now we're going to just kind of pinch the tire back over the tube. Just like that. Now you can see how easily that tire wants to go in nice and straight, or the tube wants to go in straight. That little bit of air helped make the difference, because that air increased the diameter of the tube. It's going to keep it away from the rim and keep it on the back of the tire where it belongs. So we just set the tube in place. We're going to let a little air out, and that'll reduce the diameter of the tube a little. Now we can put it right where it belongs. So now that the tube's in and started, we're kind of going to roll the tire into place. Again, working away from the nozzle. Both sides. Making sure that the tube is up and out of the way. I'm going to show you, if for some reason the tube isn't out of the way and you're trying to push that tire in, you can pinch it. And that can cause a flat while you're putting a new tube in. Same with a tire lever. At the end, if you're using a tire lever to finish the job, you always want to make sure that tube is right up and out of the way and not getting pinched between the bead and the rim. So again, we're just continuing to roll it in. And the last part of it's not going to be easy, so see how I could almost pinch it right there? I wasn't careful, but I noticed that. So we're just going to make sure that tube's out of the way. And then just roll it. Fortunately, I was able to do this without the tire lever. But if you reach that last bit where you need help, the tire lever will tuck kind of opposite. Instead of taking it off, the hook is the other way, and you're pulling it on. And again, being careful that you don't pinch that tube. So now we're ready to give it a little bit of air and check to make sure that the bead isn't off center. If you're filling it up and the tire isn't seating, it can explode. All right, we've got the pump on it. We're ready to give it a little bit of air. What we're going to do is we're going to start with just a little air, and we're going to kind of go around the tube or the tire and just make sure it's seating properly. If it's not seating properly, you'll start to see it look off-center, and the tire will start to show a bulge. Usually if it's showing a bulge out here, it'll show a bulge in somewhere on the other side of the tire, which tells you that the tire is off-center. So we're going to give it a little bit of air, and at the same time, I'm just kind of rotating the wheel and just visually looking to make sure that the bead is all even all the way around. look on this side too. It looks like it's all even. And most tires have a little line on them as a kind of a visual point you can look at and see if that line is looking wavy or off-center, then it's probably not seating properly. But this one, it's a good quality tire, so it's seating really well, exactly how it's supposed to. So we're going to fill it up. Every tire's got a pressure rating. So if you're ever wondering, how much air does my tire take? They always have a pressure rating. This one is up to 120 psi, pounds per square inch. And some of them, this one also has it in bars, or different, so you could, some pumps will have a bar indicator or a pressure indicator. So we can go up to 120. It doesn't mean you have to. 120 is the maximum. You might run it a little softer for smoother roads or to absorb a little bit of road shock if you're running a really stiff bike. But again, you don't want to go too low because pinch flats. So keep that in mind, and usually 30 pounds, so 90 to 120 would be fine. All right, putting the wheel in, you remember what we discussed earlier about the chain being, the cassette being on the inside of the chain, kind of in there. And then set the chain right in that smallest cog. And now we should be able to roll the wheel right up into place. That cog acts as a guide to help us get the wheel into the dropout exactly where it belongs. If we were on a different cog when we put the wheel back in, it would be hard to get centered. But because we use the same cog, that wheel's going to come right into the dropout and stay put. And from here, we're doing the same hook. We're kind of holding this with our fingers. We're going to tighten the quick release because we loosened it to pull the wheel out. And holding the wheel up. We want the quick release to start getting snug while it's straight out, because you want to have to hold onto the frame to pull it in. The tighter, the better. You obviously don't want it so tight that you hurt your hand, but you don't want this coming out by accident. This is holding your wheel on. Now I want you to see the quick release skewer on this angle, or from this angle, to get a better understanding of why we want this to lock between the two tubes. In the event of catching anything on your ride, or branches, or leaning the bike against something to go get something to drink, you have less risk of something catching the skewer and kind of knocking it out, in which case you would lose your wheel during the ride. It would be very dangerous. If your skewer is out here, that can be caught by virtually anything, and that's where the real danger point comes. So whenever you lock these back in, get your skewer, make sure it's inside this triangle, so those help to deflect it. And the quick release skewer is set. The one last thing that you want to cover, and you always need to remember this, is your quick release for your brake. Always want to engage that, and you want to physically see those pads move in to make sure that you're going in the right direction. Once that's on, try your brake, and you're good to ride. You should be all set again.